Hello and welcome to my video. I'm going to do a couple of things in this video. I'm going to oil out this painting, which was my last video that I did a couple of weeks ago, maybe just over 2 weeks ago. And basically, and the other thing I'll do is I'll be working on this painting, which is on the screen now. I've never been happy with that tree. Now, since I painted the picture, I've been driving around a bit in France, and I've seen some trees that look exactly like that. But that doesn't mean to say they look good in a picture, so I'm going to just sort of get a bit of foliage into that and a few other things, and we'll sort of just spruce it up a bit. So anyway, back to this one, oiling out. Oiling out is an effort to, sometimes it's an effort, to make all the paint look sort of uniform, because paint sinks into the surface and sinks into other layers of paint at different rates, depending on how much oil is actually in the paint. So what you want to do before you varnish it is even it out. So that's oiling out. Some people call it sinking in, some people call it something else, but I've no idea what it is. So anyway, there we go. You have to do it when it's touch dry. You cannot do it if it's sticky. It must not be sticky. So obviously I've tested this. This is completely touch dry, so it's safe to do. Now, normally you'd probably work on the flat. You'd lay the picture down. I'm not going to with this one. I will when I've done the oiling out, obviously, because I don't want paint to drip down the picture. So over here we've got linseed oil. That's all you need. There are various recipes. People will say, oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to do the other, whatever. But basically it's down to putting linseed oil on the surface. Linseed oil is the binder. That's what holds the paint together. I don't paint using turpentine, anything like that, which actually turpentine breaks down the binder. Think of it that way. I prefer mine to be oily and, of course, no odour. So here's some linseed oil. All I'm going to do is just cover the painting with it. It's a little bit boring. I might speed it up, but it's just as simple as that. Just put the paint on. Don't worry about smoothing it too much. Just go for an even coat. Now, it may take 2 coats. And one other thing I will tell you, it's best to do this early on. If you wait for the painting to completely dry, you can actually get beading. And that's where the paint, that's where the linseed oil basically gathers on the surface of the painting and makes little beads, the way water does on a highly waxed car. You don't want that. So off we go. And luckily I've got a light over there reflecting across it, so I can see exactly where I've put oil. You don't want to miss anything, so go over the whole thing. Some people say just oil out the bits that look odd. I don't recommend that, because usually there's no sharp defining line. You've got to, you wouldn't be able to sort of, for instance, up there's a little spots. It'd be silly of me to just do each spot, because there's about 50 of them. So go for the whole thing. When you put the oil on, you see, you're going to wipe it off. Not completely, but a lot of it will be taken off with a piece of kitchen paper. Kitchen towel. I've got to get used to saying kitchen towel. There we go. Now it'll look initially like it's been varnished. The varnish comes later. And I can see already, as I'm doing this, that there are a couple of bristles. There's one there. In fact, there's one there, and one there. So it doesn't matter at the moment. I'll get them off. All I want to do at the moment is just get the oil over the whole painting. It might go fast, but it'll slow down in a moment. Okay, so that's basically oiling out. It's not the most exciting thing to watch. The next bit is going to be the exciting bit when I finish this one. So the oil is on there. It's not drippy. It's not enough for it to drip. However, I will be lying it flat just to absolutely make sure. and I'll put it up high on a shelf so the cat doesn't walk on it. The next thing to do to sort of help it along, also you may have seen, even though it was speeded up, you might have seen me concentrating on an area here, and I've actually got some beading, which is irritating as heck, and the only way you can sort of get rid of it is to really sort of massage the oil in, and this will also help. Just a piece of paper, and all I'm going to do is just sort of wipe off the oil. I mean, I'm not taking it completely off, obviously, and you can see there's the oil appearing on the paper there. And don't rub too hard. Even though it's touch dry, you don't want to go disturbing any of the paint, and it can happen. In fact, I will speed this bit up as well. Okay, so that's really it. That's as far as I'm going to go with that. Nothing much to do. Let's give you a close-up just so that you can see the surface. As I said, not really much to see. The light's reflecting off it a little bit, so that shows you that the oil on it's slightly wet. Certainly not drippy. There isn't enough to drip, and there we are. Right, onto this bit. So you can see by the shape of the tree, it's a bit odd, isn't it? Although, I have to say, I probably said it a few minutes ago, you get them like that. Usually at the side of a road where they've cut it so that trucks can drive past it without taking the top off. But this one, I don't know what possessed me. But anyway, I'm going to fix it. So what I'm going to do is add highlights to the tree and also reshape the outer edge so it looks more tree-like. Anyway, this is big. So it's on canvas, which is unusual for me. This goes back quite a few years, this picture. And this is 116 centimetres wide by 89 deep. I'll put the inches on the screen now. So it's a fair size. But anyway, I'm not concerned with the rest of the picture. It's really the tree that I'm going to focus on. Right, so as you can see, I now have this palette camera working. I hope it's going to work anyway. These are the colours: white, sap green, ultramarine blue, light green, and Payne's grey. I'm not sure I'll use much Payne's grey, but you never know. Anyway, that's them. And the first colour I'm going to use, because I want to just sort of start to get some of the form in the tree. As I said, I'm going to lose this weird shape. I don't know what possessed me, but anyway, as you can see, there's some light green there, but I want to get much more of that going on in here. Now, this painting's been dry for so long, it would be quite difficult to oil this one out. I'd have a big problem with beading, so I'm not sure that I'll even take it that far. I might have a go at it on another class, but at the moment I'm going to leave it as is. Just get these highlights on, just to give you an idea of how to do it. And in fact, not many brushes are going to be used in this painting. I'm going to have a fiddle with my webcam here. Palette cam, rather. Make sure it's still recording. It is. Good. So there's some light green, a bit of ultramarine blue, this won't require large amounts of paint, so if you've got the idea in your head that painting's expensive, well, it is if you waste paint, but just be careful with it. Put out what you need. This idea that you put out a load of paint and then just stick it in the fridge with cling film on it is might suit some people, as long as the cling film doesn't touch the paint. But I try to either use up all the paint or just not put too much out. So we've got light green, sap green, ultramarine blue. Do I need a bit of... Maybe I need a little bit of royal blue on there just for later. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that. Because I was watching a YouTube the other day and it was going on about What was he going on about? Obviously something memorable. Oh yeah, it was about the colour green and how many greens there are. And it's apparently the thing that our eyes pick up most, the various variations of green, in fact. The eye possesses the ability to see most of them. And I did read, well, maybe it was just something from college. I think somebody said something once about, according to science, the female eye picks up more greens than the male eye. May not be popular to say that nowadays, but there you go. Right, so there's a colour. Right, so I don't want to start really bright green. I'm going to tone it down just a bit. So I'm just going to stick a little bit of, let's put a bit of ultramarine in it and see what that looks like. This is all very hit and miss with me. I just sort of mix the colours and see what we get. And sometimes it's the best way to do it. The element of surprise. So there's a colour. Now it's obviously lighter than what's on the painting. So I'm going to just sort of put a few dabs on some paper and just see what we get. Because there's going to be shadows and there's going to be intermediary shadows and cool shadows and warm shadows and all that stuff. Now with the paper, I think I'll go to the other camera for this. For the paper, really as many bumps as you can get in it, lots and lots. You know, screw it up really tight and push it with your thumbnail. Anything you can do to get rid of the texture that they actually put on the paper. You don't want that. You want to lose that as much as you can. And it's just dab, 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 and we'll see what happens. So here's a few dab-dabs, dib-dabs. Now, funnily enough, I drove past the inspiration tree for this morning on my way up to the village to go and get some, whatever I got, I can't remember. A baguette. I'm in France, you've got to get baguettes. This is very wobbly, obviously, because it's canvas, so maybe I'll try and do it with less wobble. So I'm just putting in a few colours here that are intermediate shades of green. And to that, I'm also going to add a little bit of light green. So there's a bit of a mix on this now. Now, you don't want to let these go too far. If you get the paper all clogged up with too much paint, you'll lose the nice speckled effect, which is what you want. Right, what I want to do. What do I want to do? Shadows underneath, lighter foliage hanging down over the top. That's the general plan. And the only thing that concerns me at the moment, I mean, I think this can be quite an interesting video to some people, particularly if you've got a painting at this stage. But of course you can do this early on. You don't have to wait for everything to completely dry. You can do this early on in a painting. I just happen to have this one lying around, and I think it's, good heavens, I don't know, maybe, could be 11 years. No, probably less. Between 9 and, somewhere between 9 and 11. So let's have a lot more light just coming down there. Now, what you've got to do, foliage hangs over, right? So you've got to sort of draw that. Now, when I say draw it, you don't need to be able to draw. What you really need, it sounds so silly, doesn't it? You need to be able to dab. You need to be able to dab in a controlled fashion. That's all it takes. So that's what I'm doing. I'm controlling my dabs. Let's have a little bit there. And I have to say this, I know I say it on several videos, but some people say, well, that's not really painting. Well, okay. It is painting. This is an alternative brush. This is also an alternative brush. You can use this. Anything you like. Anything that gets the paint from the palette to the picture is a brush. As you can see, that's starting to get a little bit more interest in there now. So I'm just going to sort of go for it. It's not going to be a very long video, I think, because it doesn't really need to be. I've already told you probably all you need to know by now, so if you want, switch off. But if you want to see the process, obviously hang around. And if you are going to hang around and you haven't subscribed, why not hit the subscribe button? It's totally free. It's environmentally healthy. Nothing gets damaged by subscribing. And did I say it's free? Yeah, I did. But let's go on about it a bit. It costs you nothing. You wouldn't believe the amount of people who have said to me, well, I would subscribe, but I can't afford it. You don't need to. You don't need to. It's totally free. So the only thing that I think, well, there are several things they're doing now, well, they have been doing for a while on YouTube, which I might take up, that's channel memberships, where you pay a certain amount each month, but you get perks. And I think, I'm not sure what my perk would be. I've got to think about my perks. I tend to think what I'd like to offer is the chance for people to have a chat, either one-to-one or maybe a group on Zoom. So you pay a certain amount a month. I don't think it's much. Lots of channels do it. I don't want people to feel trapped in any way. You know, they can't watch unless they pay. I don't like that. I think YouTube generally should be free. Generates enough revenue in the advertising. Not for me, of course. But yeah, so that would be a perk, that if you were a member, you could have a chat with me. And I could do that maybe once or twice a week. Quite like chatting on Zoom. So we're starting to get a little bit of form on the tree, and I think there's going to be some light blossom as well. There may be some trees that have got some blossom. You can't see it the way I've got the camera configured at the moment, but over this way here, there's some sort of, well, you can just see it there. There's some sort of trees in the mist over here. You've heard of gorillas in the mist? These are trees in the mist. And I want to, I mean, whereas they look quite nice and interesting, I really want attention to go to the tree. Because one thing I have noticed also is that people are always fascinated by the idea of being able to paint clouds. Clouds, to some people, are ridiculously easy. And they become ridiculously easy when you don't actually worry about painting clouds. You just put the, I know it sounds, what does it sound, glib? You literally just put the paint on and push it and pull it, squeeze it, squish it, scrape it, and eventually it'll become a cloud. Why do I know that? Well, it's because it's basically what I do. There's no plan. Any skies that you see in my paintings aren't particularly planned at all. Okay, so we've got some nice light bits here, and you want to work in lumps. Don't do the same texture all over the whole tree. Don't do the same density. So, for instance, I've got like a light channel there. I've got some light here, and I've got a little bit of light there. There will be some dark bits against the sky when I reshape the tree, but really what I want to do is to show lumps of leaves. Don't paint leaves, paint shapes of masses of leaves, because masses of leaves make a set shape, and you can get that quickly, obviously, doing this rather than using a fiddly little brush. You just use this method and do them in bulk. So a little bit dangling down there. So the top edge, you see, of these things here, they're going to have the light catching them, and underneath it's slightly darker. You don't have to go ridiculously dark. And obviously there's light sort of over here coming across that way, and there's a bit of light either side of the tree. So, which brings me to another thing, is with landscapes, it is okay to have one set light source, but it's also okay to have several, because clouds are moving all the time, and they're all of them are picking up different bits of ambient light which is bouncing off other clouds. Clouds are like big white sheets. Imagine like in a photographer's studio where they use basically white sheets and boards which are white to reflect light around, to make a scene more interesting, dynamic, and also to put light where you want the viewer to go. Pools of light, I think, are more interesting than one big main source. Okay, so I go and look in the camera and I see that it could actually benefit from a lot more just here. There we go. Like so. I'll be using dark colour, as I said, around the edge to show leaves fragmenting off the way trees do that. So if you go out in the countryside, or if you're going into plein air painting, all well and good. But would you sit outside and paint every single leaf? Most people don't. Stuff like that is usually done in the studio, obviously to cut down the effects of sunburn and also glare that you get off the painting surface. That can damage your eyes, so try not to do that. I certainly can't do it. And it's not an age thing with me, some people it is, but I've never been able to do it. I've always found it just too much. So up here, let's have another set of shapes here. I'm slightly concerned about the wobbling, but I don't think it's going to be too distracting. Not a lot I can do about it, really. I have to say a couple of things. I don't want to offend anybody. I've tried to go through life without offending people. Unless I thought they really need a good offending, but I try to avoid it. But I get some people who say that I talk too much, all that rubbish. Although it's not rubbish to them, it's their opinion. So that everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But if you think I talk too much, turn the volume off and watch. And put some music on. That's one way to solve that problem. Some people say that I talk too quietly. Now I've adjusted my microphones, I've fiddled with it and tweaked it and all kinds of stuff. And I've got it on full blast. So it could be that your computer settings aren't set at 100%. It's always worth doing that because there is a little slider down the bottom on YouTube where you can up the volume. That's a problem. Anything else? Anyone else grumbling about stuff? I've had one or two comments from people who say that they would like more structure in my class. In other words, start doing this, then do this, then do this, and then do whatever. That's not the way I teach. It's not the way I've ever taught anyone to paint. I went through that at college, and the boredom... Now, people may say, okay, right, let's start again. To me, it was boring. No, it's not boring to everyone. Some people are like that. That's how they learn. This method that I teach is the relaxed, don't worry about it too much method. If you worry about a painting, you'll end up with a stiff painting that has no movement in it at all. And because I work quickly all around the painting in different places, I'm trying to keep it alive, and I'm also reading the whole image. Don't just read one part of the image. You'll end up with a highly finished bit of tree there, and then you've got to blend it into the rest of the tree. It might suit you. I don't know. Everyone's different, as I said. But I read the whole image, and I look to see where I think a little bit more attention would help. So now I'm going to try and add a bit of that attention while I can get the lid off this thing. I'm going to add titanium white. It shows how long I haven't painted. I can't get the top off. There we go. Right, titanium white. I hope you like the palette cam. I hope it's working. It's taken me a long time to organise this. It's a bit of a nightmare splicing it into the rest of the video so that everything stays in sync, so to speak. Anyway, That's not your problem, it's my problem. So a little bit of white added to that, and I don't want to contaminate it, so I'll just spread it out a little bit like that. I'm not going to add any oil to that. I added a tiny amount to this, just enough to make it slightly fluid. But with white, I tend to like white to stay pristine. So here we go. Same thing, piece of paper. Tap it around on the white for a bit. So this could be blossom. It could be light catching some leaves. Some leaves, when light hits them, emit an almost silvery effect. So let's just sort of put a few little bits in there. If you overdo it in one or two places, there's several things you can do. You can scrape it off, obviously. Wipe it off, but you don't need to use turpentine. You can wipe it just with a piece of paper. And normally I work on plywood, which is smooth and hard and gives you more scope for texture. But I'm stuck on this one, obviously, because it was painted on canvas. So there's a few little flecks of white. So back to the camera just to see how it's looking. It's looking tree-ish. It's quite tree-ish. Now, it could be that, obviously, there's not one tree trunk. There's several tree trunks in there hidden away. So maybe there's some at the front, which is this part here, and the back part is a bigger trunk that goes up the middle. Who knows? I don't know yet. So maybe the tree in the foreground is a blossom tree, and the tree behind is the other species are commonly known as not a blossom tree. It's a blossomless tree. So maybe I'll work on that idea. So let's just pull a few bits into here. Be a wild apple or something. So there's some blossomy bits. Slightly more intense, maybe just here, just for the heck of it. Because I just want to sort of play around and have a bit of fun with it. There we are, there's a little white something going on down there. It's coming along. Right, now, how would I change the shape of the tree? I still like this leaning over bit, but what it needs is a more sturdy trunk going up there. That lot is too flimsy, too big to be on that little flimsy thing there. So I'm going to beef that up. Now I'm going to beef it up if I can find a rigger. Did I sort out my rigger problem? Got a feeling I might be riggerless. There could be one or two here. Well, I can't believe it, but I can actually. I'm out of wriggles. I'm out of wriggles. Wrigglers. So, riggers. Get it right. So what I'll do, I'm going to use this brush. Now this isn't one I would normally want to use, but I'm going to. And the colour that I'm going to use is sap green. Let's get rid of these. I don't think I want those lurking around on there. Now the colour of a trunk depends quite a lot on what's actually behind it, whether behind it is dark or light. If the light is the light behind it, usually even a white trunked tree can look dark. So I'm going to work on that idea that it is going to be slightly dark to start with, but it doesn't have to be a solid clumpy line. It can be a broken up, slightly heavy line. Let's see what we get. I tend to like to work from the top down. So let me just sort of invent some kind of interesting shaped trunk there. Now I need to know, is that thick enough to show up? That's much better. That's got much more, what's it called to it? It's got the chunky factor. So I'm going to put a little bit of white with that on the same brush, as you can see on my palette cam. The same brush, so it's got Payne's grey and white. I want them to mix on the canvas. And I don't want to damage what I've already done. The paint around that is dry, so I can use my pinky finger just to steady myself and just sort of put a few slightly toned bits of tree trunkery. Don't delete all the dark bits. It's one of those, it's that special species of tree. It's called the grey trunked, lesser spotted pink. I don't know what it's called. But something you must remember, don't make it thick and suddenly thin. Trees like this are long and whispery. It's one of those things that people do. They make trees go from fat to thin too quickly. I've actually got a student, one of my delightful Patreon members, Maureen, is coming here, just over a week, for 4 days. And I'm not sure. I think her husband might spend some time sitting on the sofa with the cat over there. But anyway, Maureen goes to my Zoom classes regularly. And always very entertaining. Yeah, I think that might even be thick enough, that trunk. I might do one here. May do one there, a little bit of one poking out there. I think it needs that. Anyway, so for 4 days, 4 hours a day, I'll be teaching Maureen how to do quick tonal impressionist paintings. I'm not sure whether that's actually a recognised style. There's tonalism and there's impressionism. Tonalist impressionism, I don't know. Sounds good, doesn't it? All right, over here, there's going to be work on the profile of the tree here. As I said, I'm going to take leaves and stuff out toward the sky. So I think I'm going to have another hint of a tree trunk there. That's quite cool. Okay. Something that I sometimes talk about when I'm painting is state of mind of people when they paint. Now, you might hear me say things like that. I'll do something and then I'll say, yeah, cool, yeah, nice, like that, yeah. Okay, it's much better for me than to come out and say something like, oh dear, that's crap. That that wouldn't make a good video. But it's just my positive way of talking to myself. I'm going to put another one of these in there, a slightly wispier one just there. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. Well, you may think it's not nice, but I think it's nice. I'm going to strengthen the existing tree just a bit. I'm really hoping that I'm not in the way. I don't think I can be, actually, because the camera's just on that bit. Yeah, so that should be okay. I wake up at night screaming sometimes, I'm in the way. Anyway. So, now I'm going to have trouble with twiggy bits. Can I actually do a twiggy bit? I've got this rigger here, which you can probably see on the palette camera. It's like a small spear, but I can get some paint on the tip. And then I can sort of add tiny little bits. And then the paints run out. The good thing about a rigger when it works is it goes on forever. They just don't seem to run out. But it's okay. And I can pull a little bit off the actual tree trunk, just so that there's a slight stain of a twig. That's enough for today on that, until I get a rigger. It's silly of me not to have enough riggers. I did look at them online, and I know a good rigger when I see it, and I know that to get a good one you've got to spend around $5 or $6 or euros per rigger. And on Amazon, I think it was, there was a whole bunch of riggers for $8, and I thought, no, they can't be any good. So I didn't buy them, but I have time to get to the shop before my student arrives. Anyway, if you want to come here, there'll be a link below. I'm not doing many this year. I might do one in August. I've got someone who seems to be interested in that. I'm not sure how far that'll go. Quite often, people show interest until they see the price, but for what you get my undivided attention. And I've taught before the lockdown. I had a very busy year. It was almost a person every week. Not quite a full year, but close. And every single one of them seemed to be happy, except one lady who decided after the first day that there's no way she could do it. And she didn't want me to refund the money, which I would have done. I would have, a certain amount of it anyway. She said, what I'd like you to do is paint me a picture and I'll just tell you what I want, roughly what I want it to look like. So we agreed that could be fun. So I just spent the rest of the week painting this. So she got a free painting. Oh, and if you do come here for classes, you actually get my demo painting. If you're here for a day, basically I do a demo painting, you keep it. I send it to you. And even if you're here for a week, the demo painting that I do, you get. I send it to you after when you leave. And that seems to make people happy. But my teaching method is basically hyper-focused, like multitasking, but in a pleasant and humorous fashion. I don't want people to feel that I'm bossing them around. What I want people to do is just listen, and without thinking, do what I say on the painting. Stop when I say stop. Move somewhere else on the painting when I tell them to. Come back to another bit, all that sort of stuff. And I found it always works. It's literally helping the person navigate the bits that they would normally be worried about, but without fear. You can't paint pictures in a state of fear. Can't do anything in a state of fear much, really. Going into the webcam. Right, I hope that makes sense. Now, as I said, I want to take some leaf clusters out over the sky. There's going to be unusual blobs every now and then, but I'm not worried about that because I can actually use them. Who knows? Could be birds' nests, couldn't it? So, when you do this, what I'm doing now, you've got to do it very lightly and quite sparingly. Don't overdo it. Otherwise, you'll end up with something that looks as though it's had some kind of permanent. I don't know what you call it, because I don't do it. When you go to the hairdressers and you get a permanent curl put in your hair. I don't want it to look like that all around the edges. I want it to look like a tree. Something else, oh, I know, here's a question for you. Okay, the music that I use at the beginning of the video and at the end, do you like it? I'm just going to pan back a bit here. Do you like my choice of music? Now, I don't know a lot about music copyrights. I know that to use music on my videos, it's much easier for me to use the YouTube music because it's copyright free. But the music that I use, I paid for. It took me ages to get YouTube to actually agree that I'd paid for this bit of music. Eventually they did. But anyway, I like it. I think it's got the right sort of mood for what I do. And at the end of the video, I'm doing a bit of market research, you see, while I work. I've got that little clip of me walking up the side of a hill. It's a field just at the back of the house here. And then I get this beam of light coming down and I get beamed up. I mean, that wasn't the idea that I was being beamed up. I just liked quite like the effect. Why not? Do you like that? Does it irritate you? Do you ever get in through the video far enough to actually see it? I'm sure a lot of people don't. So yeah, let me know about the music. I mean, some of you may think, well, it doesn't actually need music, does it? Just start the video, get on with it. But I do like a little bit of an intro. It also works on people's subconscious. Some people find it comforting. I mean, there are several videos I watch which have extremely engaging but not too long intros. And when I start to watch one of these videos, it may sound odd, but I'm slightly comforted by it, because I only watch stuff that I think is, I don't know, well researched. I like well researched stuff. I don't do TikTok or whatever those things are called, which is probably a good thing. I mean, can you imagine? Maybe it's best not to imagine it, especially if you haven't eaten. But me prancing around in front of the camera, grinning all over the place, I don't think that is really conducive to an oil painting video. I prefer to remain in the shadows. So there we go. A bit more of this dark stuff. So that's what it looks like. If you can't see it there, there it is on the palette cam. That's all it is. Instant leaf. Now I'm going to add some down this lone tree trunk. I've already got wet paint there, so I've got to be a little bit careful. So let's just have just a few bits there. Just enough to tell the story, as they say. So a little bit just there around that. Okay, now the leaning over shape I think works better. Now it's got that extra tree trunk there, and I'm toying with the idea of adding another one, this one, which could poke out there and be slightly taller there. I think I might do that, because it's, you know, something that might be useful. If it goes wrong, you see, it's the same with anything to do with painting pictures like this. Absolutely anything. If it goes wrong, wipe it off. And don't be afraid to wipe it off. Some people hesitate when they're trying to paint a picture right at the beginning. Newbies, when they start painting, might go out and buy a nice, completely perfect, pristine canvas and then sit and look at it for days because they're afraid to ruin it. what you have to do is ruin it. Make a mess. Just go for it. If you don't, you'll be sitting there forever. So you've got to start somewhere. Where does that go? It goes sort of up through there, through there, through there, through there. So I'm going to do something that starts here. Okay, so that continues up there. Good. Could do with another one. What else can I talk about? One of my, I don't know whether it's a gift or a talent. I'm lucky in that I can usually just talk, if that's what people want. Some people just can't do it, they don't know what to say. I think my ability to keep talking, it's interesting. Well, for me anyway, not, I always say it's interesting about a lot of things, but I find a lot of things interesting, so I'll go on about it anyway. But I quite like talking. It's not necessarily I like the sound of my voice. It's when I was very young, I didn't speak for, oh, good grief, a long time. I think my parents already had a label on me, but anyway, it took me a long time before I would actually speak to anyone, and I was unbelievably shy when I was younger, up until about the age of 16 or 17, I think. Then suddenly the shyness just went away. Where that came from, I have no idea, but tree there. Yeah, I think we'll put some leaves up there. Anyway, so one day, yeah, the shyness just seemed to disappear overnight. I woke up one morning and I suddenly found I found my voice, literally. And I wanted to be an actor. I had an audition at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, and they offered me a scholarship, but I didn't take it because I was married and I had a child at that time, and so I turned it down. I just had to find work. And incidentally, the person who gave me a lot of work at that time was the brother of quite a famous English actor. And if you've ever seen an English comedy programme from the 70s called It Ain't 'Arf 'Ot, Mum, if you're English, you'll know exactly what that means. One of the actors in that, his brother, had a design studio, and I went and worked there for a bit. So, yeah. But there you go. So, yeah, anyway, talking, not a problem. And I do the same when people come here for the lesson. I talk and talk and talk. What I'm trying to do, and it sounds awfully weird, is take their mind off painting. I'm trying to teach people to go into automatic mode because, frankly, we've all got it in us. Now these tall, spindly trees here, you see, they're going to have a little bit of action going on at the top there. So we just put a few little speckles and stuff. I might add some light to that. I'll put some light leaves on it, but at the moment, let's just get some darks. So if you want to come here, or if you want to come to my Zoom class, the good thing about the Zoom class is it's a lot easier to mute me, if you want to. It's a good, and I'm not just saying that, it is a good laugh. I have a regular crowd, excuse me, a regular crowd, I suppose 96% from the USA, a few from England, one from France, maybe two from France. Yeah, we've been doing this now for two Saturdays a month now for about, I don't know, it must be heading on towards 4 years, I suppose. I've got a bit of white on here, and I'm just going to add a few flicks of white to this trunk coming down here. So that I can take the white down into the shadow. Like so. Yeah, we have a good laugh. There's no politics, no religion. It's just all about painting. What else? If you become a patron via my Patreon page, and you pay the equivalent of €30 a month, you get 2 of these classes free. What other perks are there? Well, do you know, interestingly, one of the perks is actually that it's fun, and to be honest, I don't think a lot of us get enough fun. Doing this takes you off into the woods, and you can retain, how do I explain this? You can retain an idea of the woods in your head, which is what I do. Well, I retain the images, but I was born like that. But oh, that's interesting. What should we do with that? Great big chunk there. Let's just leave it, see what it looks like. Yeah, you get to sort of make pictures. Oh, yeah, at the end of the class, I don't think I've mentioned this. At the end of the class, some people have painted along with me when I paint. Some paint try to copy the exact picture, but some do their own thing, and I just give them a critique at the end. And sometimes, if there's time, usually oh, that's interesting. Now, maybe I will just chunk that one up quite a lot. Yeah, I'll get their painting and put it in Photoshop and then show them how they could have gone, and suggest things that they could do just to improve what they've done, or I can change their composition to make their picture more look-atable. Okay, so we got some white there. Now that's a really chunky tree trunk that goes thin, so I'm going to fatten it up just a little bit above that slightly chunky part. Let's make it disappear into the foliage about there. There we go. Let's have I don't know what it is, but let's have one of them. Okay, so do I have enough form in the tree? Do I need to do anything else? I'm not sure. Maybe it's okay. Yeah, I think a little bit more light green just up here, and a bit light green up there. I've done a few dotty bits around here, so I'm going to go around that with a bit of light green as well, and then we'll be done. So if you have any questions about Zoom classes or actually coming to France, if you go to my website, which is in the box below, you'll see, if you go to the website, you'll see a contact page, and if you contact me via that, I'll get back to you. The reason I got that on there is because it filters out the spam a lot better. Spam doesn't get through it, basically. Okay. Yep, okay, so let's get some light green going. This is light green with no oil. Just light green and paper. And let's see, where should we go? I think, okay, so I got that little lump there. It could be a bigger lump, I think. Just Remember, no hard edges. That's one of these lumps of leaves goes into another lump. They sort of fade into each other. You might get a sharp, or the impression of a sharp line where there's a transition when the things are really, trees are really far away. But with things like this, you know, this is not a distant tree. Everything's going to sort of blend into the next bit quite gently. Yeah, a little bit more light just there. So, in other words, as you come up to that, it's dark, then it's light, and it's dark again. There's no rigid borderline there. Okay, round the edge. I wanted to keep this video short, but I've got a feeling it's gone on for quite a while. So if you are still here, just another reminder, if you want to subscribe, feel free, it is free. And comment. I think apparently, according to what I've heard, if you click the thumbs up button, that will automatically, it does something to the algorithm. The algorithm likes that, but it'll put the video into a folder on your YouTube channel. You'll have playlists, and it'll go into a folder called Liked. So it stores them there, and you can go back and look at it at some other time without having to try and find the video, which can be slightly painful, particularly on my art page, because when I started doing all this, I never thought it would be quite as big as it is. I didn't number the videos. I probably should have, and now of course there's well over 250, I think. I just don't, I know it sounds silly, but finding the energy to do that can be difficult some days. Maybe I will try and get round to it. I guess I'd take the oldest one and call it number 1, but it doesn't necessarily work that way, you know. Right, so there we are, light green up here around the edges, and I think we're done. You can always tell when there's about, I don't know, is it 2 or 3 minutes? 2 or 3 minutes from the end of the video, you start to hear faint music in the background. Now, I'll do this without getting in the way. Let's see if we can do it. I guess I could move the camera just a touch. Okay. And just touch the sky in a few places. Okay. Oh, the other thing about my Zoom classes, that sometimes I actually, I paint a demo picture, usually in an hour. Sometimes it goes to about an hour and 20 minutes. And more often than not, I give the painting to someone in the group. Don't know how many I've given away at the moment, but quite a lot. So you may end up with a painting just for being there. Okay, another look in the camera. Yeah, I think that might be it for the day. It's a lot more leafy than it was, although I'm thinking maybe I could just do a little bit more just there. If I got the camera in the right position, I think I have. Now, I have to say, this isn't my normal style of painting. My normal style of painting is, as I said, tonalism, which is not quite this. This is, I suppose this is tonal impressionism, because I'm putting on a lot more detail, or the appearance of detail, which of course isn't really detail. But yeah, normal impressionism, tonalism, is a lot more fuzzy. Oh, this is okay. Right, now, still not happy here. Why am I not happy? Let's have some dark green. Right. Just want to break something up down through there. That's what I want. So yeah, going back to the idea of what I said right at the beginning, is this painting because I'm using a piece of paper? Yeah, it is. Constable and Turner used all kinds of stuff. They used cloth, things like that. Turner used to spit on his paintings sometimes. Apparently, rumour has it. No, I don't think it is actually recorded somewhere. They found some traces of his saliva on a painting, and it had snuff in it, which is powdered tobacco. So he probably spat it. I won't be doing that. Okay, that's got another lump of twiggery going over there. I think a little bit here, hanging down maybe. Excuse me. And I think that may be it for the day. Unless this white needs to be intensified. I'm not sure that it does, so maybe I won't bother. Okay, well, there we are. Hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope you've learned something. If not about painting with paper, at least you know something about oiling out. I'll probably do a video soon of varnishing, which is almost as boring to watch as oiling out, frankly. It's just a brush dipped in varnish and painted on a picture, which is flat in a dust-free room. Okay. All right. So, yeah, as I said, hope you've enjoyed it. Take care. See you on the next video, I hope. And bye for now.